Name is Marissa Kiesling. I am currently a first lieutenant at Charlie Battery 1120th FA, and I am currently in a platoon leader role.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your journey in the Guard, your career so far.
Yeah, so I enlisted in the Wisconsin National Guard in 2016. I enlisted as an 88 Mike and went to basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. When I came back, I ended up joining ROTC at the University of Stevens Point. Got a scholarship there, completed my 4 years, and commissioned as an FA officer in May of 2021. Since then, I have attended BOLIC down at Fort Sill, and then came back, spent some time at our headquarters detachment, and then shifted to Charlie Battery for my fire direction officer time, and now my platoon leader time.
So then when you initially enlisted, were you still in high school? Like, where were you at?
Yep, so I was, it would have been 16, so it would have been my the fall of my senior year of high school is when I enlisted, about a week after I turned 18.
Nice. And what kind of prompted you to make that switch from the enlisted side to the officer side?
So a big part of it for me was when I learned about different scholarships. I really wasn't set one way or another versus enlisted or officer. Kind of thought about before I enlisted possibly going that route, but wasn't sure, so I just enlisted, gave it a little time, and then decided, financially with college to go the officer ROTC route.
Okay. What would you say have been some of the most valuable lessons you've learned in leadership, whether from experience or from other leaders that you've worked under?
I would say a lot of things are just unexpected. A really valuable lesson I learned pretty early on was you're not going to know everything, and the enlisted counterparts you work with are going to know more than you, which is their job. So being humble enough to learn from them and want to learn from them, especially being a younger officer, you just want to be a sponge. You want to learn everything and anything. They say, like, that's your time to make a mistake if you're going to make one, which obviously you're going to make them your whole career, but being a knowledge sponge, being humble enough to ask questions and be okay with being wrong.
What would you say have been some of the experiences you've had or trainings, opportunities, things like that have maybe helped you develop the most as a leader?
Yeah, so I would say the first one that jumps out to me would be, I'd commissioned in May of 21, but didn't go to school to become a qualified FA officer. There was about a 5 or 6 month gap there, but I was awarded the opportunity to attend some core level training exercises, so a combined practical exercise and a warfighter exercise. Going into those knowing that I wasn't really going to know what I was doing, but a great opportunity to, one, network with people, get my name out there, learn things, and know that I would be set up for success going into my schooling. So I think that was a really good opportunity for me, pre-qualified FA officer, to just take a small or big, depending on how you look at it, step forward.
Yeah. Okay. As a female in combat arms, what do you think have been some things that you've had to overcome, or things that have helped you just as a woman in this space be successful?
Yeah, so starting out, we were very few and far between, as you're familiar with. I would say knowing going into it that you're going to be in the minority of it, and kind of two parts of it, not to take it for granted, not to say, woe me, something like that, but to really own it. I think I've used it as a little bit of motivation to prove that just because I'm a female doesn't mean I can't be in leadership, doesn't mean I can't make decisions, do the same thing the guy next to me can do. So going into it, knowing that things might be a little different, even when we know they shouldn't be, and finding, a core group of people to support you that also understand just because you're a female doesn't mean you can or can't do something, and having those people there to support you and back you and want you to excel as well.
What would be something that you would tell a high school senior kind of in a similar situation to where you were, as far as just life advice, career advice?
Yeah, so from my perspective, I'd you know, you hear the case of like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I'm just going to join the military. I feel like that has a negative connotation to it. You can know what you want to do, still join the military, use military benefits to do what you want to do. And, you know, if you're a senior in high school and looking at wanting to do a certain job, well, the military can help pay for that. If you're not sure what you want to do, you can still join the military. You're not signing your life away. You may have, you know, a 3-year contract. Take some time, figure it out, make some money, go back. I don't regret it. So I think if it even sparks your interest a little bit, take the time to just sit down, talk with someone and know what your options are. Because I think they're, for me personally even, and a lot of people I've talked to in the Guard, Reserves, Active Army, they don't know what all of their options are. Like looking back, I didn't know what all my options were. So just getting those questions answered so you can make an informed decision rather than jumping into something.
Awesome.